Hello and welcome to World Talks with me, Anna Kalczyńska. Russia rejects the European diplomatic effort as constructively not fitting them at all. The gap between the two sides' preferred endgames remains vast and largely incompatible. Moscow is pushing for a settlement that locks in and expands its territorial gains, while Kyiv and European capitals insist on securing Ukraine's sovereignty. Against this backdrop, the EU Foreign Affairs Council convened in Brussels to discuss acts of sabotage targeting Poland's railway infrastructure, Russia's ongoing aggression against Ukraine, the situation in the Middle East and Sudan. Joining me to discuss issues that are still on the agenda, albeit in the shadow of the global peace negotiations, is Piotr Kaczyński, EU Institutional Issues Lecturer, European Institute of Public Administration. Good evening, Piotr. Thank you for joining us from Brussels.
Good evening.
So many pressing issues, but seems that the attention is elsewhere at the moment. So how do the summit's priorities fit in the broader geopolitical pressures facing Europe?
It's like an episode of a sitcom, pretty much. It has started some time ago, and it's not yet the last episode. So clearly, there was a very important meeting today, but there will be another important meeting soon.
So far it looks like Europe is increasingly paying the bill, right, to say the least, for Ukraine's military effort, while the US gets to decide what's happening to Ukraine and, what's more important to our part of Europe, to the security of the entire eastern flank. So what will happen to the European Commission's proposal to provide a loan to Ukraine backed by profits from frozen Russian assets? What will the European foreign ministers decide?
That's a very good question. Without a clear answer, we need to have an answer from the Belgian Prime Minister for this, because the Belgian Prime Minister has been blocking this issue for the last couple of weeks right now. So hopefully this will be done, and the deadline that the European Council gave itself is in December. So coming up in a couple of weeks, but this question is one of those questions out there. Of course, the biggest question today is, of course, about how big are the pockets of Europeans, because Europeans are expected to pay for everything right now. We have to pay for Ukraine, we have to pay for the US, we have to pay for ourselves, our security, Ukrainian security, American security almost, American economy, etc., etc. So there's plenty of issues where we are just paying.
Exactly, and I think in line of what you are saying, the Swedish Minister of Foreign Affairs stated that Sweden cannot contribute to helping Ukraine at the same current level. And she pointed out to Europe still buying more gas from Russia than transferring money to Ukraine. So when will Europe stop paying for its own demise? I'm talking about buying the gas from Russia. And here we come again to Belgium and to France.
Absolutely. This is a very credible question, because there is quite a few countries out there that are buying gas or oil from Russia. But that is kind of like a small question right now, because when Mr. Orban went to the White House and got a kind of blank check that Hungary can take Russian gas and Russian oil. By the way, how is it coming to Hungary? Through Ukraine, right? So this is kind of this is a tragedy out there, because, of course, we are paying to Russia, but Russia is paying to Ukraine for the transport. So those issues are really complicated here.
There was an attempt to block the transfer, I remember, from Ukraine to Hungary, but somehow it got negotiated away again. So coming back to the tightening of the sanctions, EU plans additional tariffs or sanctions on imports from Russia and Belarus. So the plan is to tighten the sanction regime, especially the 50% of Russian oil exports moving through the Baltic Sea. But is it sustainable currently, at this very moment of peace negotiations and the prospects of somehow easing the sanctions? That's at least what the provisions are saying, right? The 28-point plan.
Look, if you ask if it's feasible, I think it is feasible. I think the real problem out there are those petty issues of European countries who are saying, "Oh, but what will happen to me? What will happen to me? What will happen to me?" No, it's not about what will happen to you. The question is what will happen to all of us, and all of us have to say something together. It's a choir. It's not a solo, and I can say it is for the Hungarians, it's for the people from Austria, from Belgium, from quite a few of those countries.
All right. Piotr, let's move to the EU-US trade relations. How would you describe the current state of those, and what key areas remain point of friction or cooperation? Where have you seen the progress made?
Yes, I saw this this list of wishful thinking about what else can Europe buy from the America, because if you look at those documents, this is all about what Europe will buy from America, and it's supposed to be kind of a nice gesture to have a nice relationship with US, where we are saying we will buy so much from US, while US will impose tariff 15% for pretty much what we want to sell to the US. I really would like to ask people who were so disappointed about beef coming from Argentina, where right now we apparently are going to get beef from the US because Mr. Trump needs to get new, let's say, bucks.
Right, so it's a harsh policy. No one is weak, or at least tries to be seen as weak. So to what extent are transatlantic trade ties being reshaped now by new industrial policies such as subsidies, supply chain security, green tech competition on both sides of the Atlantic?
Well, the pressure is on Europeans. The pressure is not on Americans. The pressure is on Europeans, and we saw, and I was in your studio a couple of weeks ago, when we were discussing the American pressure on Europeans to make sure that the American competitiveness is there and European competitiveness is not there. So everybody wants Europe to be actually weaker. And this is exactly what the Chinese are saying right now, that Europe has a problem with identity. And if, as long as Europeans do not get this identity, that our identity crisis is gone, then we are going to be kind of weaker and weaker, because our partners, US, are trying to get us weaker and weaker. Our hostile partners like Russia, of course, they want us to be weaker, and our Chinese partners, without adjective, also would like to have us as a weaker partner, because we saw, for example, how the Chinese are worried about European programs such as Global Gateway in Africa is actually taking off.
Right. Speaking of China relations with US and EU, US administration is working hard on mutual relations with Beijing. We have just seen Donald Trump today posting on Truth Social saying that he has had a very good conversation with Xi Jinping, and that he has been just invited to Beijing on April, and he also announced a mutual reciprocal visit to the US by Xi Jinping. So those relations are partly flourishing. How about EU balancing its economic dependence on China with increasing concerns about its security and market access?
This is, for once, this is something positive here, because when Mr. Trump went to, and he met President of China in South Korea a couple of weeks ago, we could say that there's a big relief out there, that clearly this state tension, which is the biggest tension out there between China and US, is a bit softer right now. So it's important to have a perspective. Americans are trying to be a bit much more. There's a bit of PR here. They are not only trying to be so kind to the Chinese, but they are also defensive about this relationship. So they are buying time. And that's good for everybody, because we are buying this time as well, but for once, Americans are paying for that, not Europeans. So we have extra year where Europeans and Americans and everybody else in the world are benefiting from the fact that China is not limiting rare earths on the market. So everybody can profit from this, whoever needs it. But that year, we need to use it to make sure that the sources of rare earths for the European companies are there, and diversification is the big word for this.
Thank you so much, Piotr Maciej Kaczyński. We try to take a look at the global picture. It looks like only trade could save us, but that remains to be seen. Thank you so much, Piotr, and I wish you a peaceful evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for watching World Talks here on TVP World. And please stay tuned to TVP World for more. Thank you and goodbye.